We've been talking today with Kelly Dix and Mandy Pender from their trauma coordinators with our Level 3 Trauma Center. It's located in the hospital in the ED section, Klein Emergency Center. So ladies, what else is, we've got a holiday coming up here pretty soon. What can you share to help our listeners avoid coming through the doors at the hospital?
We have Labor Day coming up, and it's our big last holiday on the water and things and outdoors. We want to remind everyone to, wear their life jackets. If they're going to be on their ATVs, of course, they need to wear their helmets. No drinking and boating or driving. Be safe in the water. Watch your kids and keep a close eye on everyone in the water. Just if you're swimming or if you're boating or skiing, you need to be aware of your surroundings.
All good tips, because it was such a tragedy on one of our lakes recently with a young boy that was killed, and here was everybody having fun, and in a blink of an eye it was all different.
It happens fast. Yeah. Things happen fast, and things get away from you too fast, and it's hard to recover from one of those things.
Yeah. And we have had several minor accidents with cliff jumping, that we have some every year, where people jumping off the cliffs. And
those teenage guys just still trying to impress those girls.
They do.
It goes on generation after generation.
Yeah. So and you got to be aware of your surroundings when you're jumping those cliffs. What's below you? What's in that water below you? How deep is the water?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what is in that water? That's a biggie. So what else is going on? You got all sorts of things I know we've been talking about during the break.
Of course, with back to school, we're going to be introducing our trauma monkey, which is our mascot. We have a monkey. Yes, a trauma monkey. And we're going to be introducing our trauma monkey. Everyone will be seeing the trauma monkey after we go back to school. About fair time, we'll have the trauma monkey out and with the parades and things. And that'll be a good tool with the kids. It'll be something fun to educate everyone about, bike safety, ATV safety.
It's a great idea. It's a great idea.
He was going to come today, but his best friend is a paramedic, and he had to work today.
So he couldn't make it. We thought we'd have some contests with the school whenever we go out and do some education with the kids at school, and so everyone will be meeting him.
And that's something real important that we want to get that message out today for sure, is that if there are local groups, civic groups, schools, I know that you're more than willing to come out and speak to the groups and offer them tips and suggestions on how to stay safe.
Absolutely.
And how to avoid, especially head injuries, I think are a big one.
Yes,
yeah.
With our sports programs starting back up and practices and things, of course, I have one that's in football, and that's just everyone's fear. Concussions, soccer, any sport you can get a concussion. Yeah. And even we want to remind everybody of the signs and symptoms of concussions. Are they dizzy? Did they get their bell rung? Are they confused at times? Are they just irritable, not themselves? And even signs and symptoms of concussion can show up days later, a couple of days later.
Not just within that 24-hour period that I think a lot of us were brought up with, saying, okay, don't let them go to sleep for all night.
You can see it up to a week later.
Really?
And even that second concussion is what's most dangerous. Second and multiple concussions puts you high risk for permanent damage or even death. So you see those things sometimes in the news, and it's scary, but you still put your kid back out there on the field. You really need to have your kids seen by a medical professional whenever you have their bell rung or their concussions.
Yeah.
And I know it's not a thought right now because it's nice and rainy and cool out today, but heat exhaustion, dehydration with the sports. They're out there putting their pads on and their helmets and things like that, and they get hot. They're not going to want to drink. They're not going to take breaks. So we need to remind our kids to take breaks, drink.
Really how important it is. And you'd mentioned that was one of the things you wanted to go out and talk with all the coaches, as well informed as they are, but you stay current with all of the latest that's coming out. And I think we have a tendency to kind of categorize things and say, okay, somebody that's doing a sport, we're usually not thinking of kids. We're thinking of someone older and, asking them to be sure to stay hydrated, thinking kids are healthy, but they need to hydrate just as much as anyone else when it's hot.
They do, and you don't even think about drinking until you're really thirsty, and that's already early signs of your dehydration when you start having a dry mouth and thirsty. Yeah. So really you want to drink early and often throughout your sport and activity. And we even, we've had children show up with heat stroke and things like that in other communities that we've heard of, 15-year-olds with signs and symptoms of stroke, and it was just mainly dehydration on that child. Hydrating him, he started resolving his symptoms. Scary.
Yeah, very scary.
Yeah.
My goodness. So, and I think every mother worries when their sons go out for football.
Yeah, exactly.
But
They do. They break their arms and their legs. I know personally it's scary, but you got to protect them and educate.
Are the
too.
new helmets that are out there for kids, are they pretty
Yes.
help
Yes.
prevent?
A lot of the schools in the area, they'll send off their helmets to be checked to the company, and a certain company will check them, and then they get them back, and they fit. A lot of them are fitted. They're filled with air, and you pump up pressure in that helmet. But they say with our shaggier hairstyles and things like that, our helmets are not fitting as tight as they used to when we had less hair on our head.
Yeah.
So
Buzz cuts, kid. Come
yeah,
on.
buzz all that hair off. But they are saying that. But at least the coaches and the schools are very aware. They send their helmets off most of the time and get them checked, and they are buy top of the line. A lot of them do helmets
Does that
and things.
protect their neck also?
No. Some of them will have a neck bar, but a lot of times no. That's
I would think
there's
that's
not
another
much
area
protection
that's
there.
a real
Yes.
delicate area.
After an injury, of course, if a child is down on the ground and exhibiting any kind of neck problems, or they got hit in a funny ankle with their neck, do not touch them. Don't move that child. Wait until a medical professional is there. Paramedics could assist with that. Don't take off their helmet if they're having any kind of paralysis or loss of feeling in their arms or legs. Don't take off their helmet. Don't move them. Let them lay there for a second. And then if they are having those symptoms, still call paramedics, and they will take care of that.
You just hit on something that I know others have mentioned as well, and that is whether, if you come upon a motorcycle accident and the person happens to be wearing a helmet, which isn't too common in our states, everybody likes the freedom, but
Yes.
if you've got a helmet on, and do not take that person's helmet off.
Exactly.
Wait till the paramedics get there that know what they're looking for, signs and symptoms.
And they can safely take that helmet off. And you sometimes even will see them board someone up with their helmet on until they get to the ER, and then they'll take it off. But a lot of times our motorcycle riders are taking off their helmet whenever they land.
Yeah.
And unfortunately are walking, and we want to keep them down and immobile as possible.
Sure.
For their safety, for their neck and back safety.
I did want to mention, as the weather is starting to change a little bit, in July we had a couple of snake bites, and we've had several over the summer.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And so just be aware as you step out into those leaves, and as they start falling and you start getting little piles of leaves, be careful, because we've had several snake bites the last couple of months. So.
Wow. What kind of snakes?
Mostly copperheads.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
So, several have been hospitalized for overnight usually, but just want everybody to be aware. Be careful where you put your feet.
Yeah.
Barefoot.
Right.
Flip flops. Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking there's one of those areas that I'm going, oh no. That would be, you'd hear me from here to.
Well, any snake is scary to me.
Yeah.
Any snake.
But I didn't realize we'd had snake bites come in as well.
Yes.
I'm wondering, with a lot of our weather changes, it just seems to be affecting
Well, they'll
nature.
be moving around, as the
Yes.
weather changes,
Yeah.
and so.
So, all right, so just be cautious of that, kind of a little bit of a shuffle or
Transition.
stomp along to
Yeah.
make the ground reverberate so they go away
Yeah.
before you get there. So, all right, anything else tip-wise you can share with our viewers today? I know you got the Trauma Monkey that's going to be going out to the schools and sharing information about how to stay safe for kids, and probably have them in the parade, as you mentioned.
Yeah. And then we'll have him at the fair. We'll be walking around the fair with him a little bit off and
Okay.
on. Get him out to the
Does
schools.
Trauma Monkey know that he's going to be at the fair yet?
He does. He's so very excited.
I hope the temperatures are very cool.
I hope it's cool for
I think he does too.
Yeah.
We're really excited in our new roles, and looking forward to.
Well, you couldn't ask for two better nurses to be in the role of trauma coordinators. Absolutely. I mean, it's just, you've got all that years of experience and that you bring to the table, and I think too, Kelly, maybe if you could mention, You know, Arkansas, if I'm not, correct me here if I'm not correct, but I believe Arkansas was the last state to start having trauma units throughout.
Yeah, we were a little behind the curve, but we're trying to catch up fast.
Right.
And they did do a really good job once they started doing their trauma system. They did some pretty nice things right away with their grants that they did for the different programs. And also they have their state divided into little tracks, and each hospital inside the tracks meet and do education for each other and have regulations, kind of like making sure everybody's staying on par. So that's nice.
Right. So a real collaborative effort to share knowledge.
Yeah.
And maybe, you know, make sure everybody is on track and what they're doing with their programs.
And kind of stay regulated too, to make sure that everybody's keeping up.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a nice, for somebody that's kind of behind, that's nice.
Yeah, I love it. And we're at level 3. There's 4 levels, if I remember correctly. And level 1 has to be a
teaching hospital.
Okay,
Yeah.
see if I remember. Kelly taught me all this. So she's going to correct me if I'm not. So, so level 1 is a teaching hospital, so that would be like UAMS. And level 2 has to have a neurologist.
And then they
24/7.
Well, and then they usually have a surgeon or anesthesia on 24/7 too. So they have extra requirements for different other things that are there all the time.
Right.
And level 3 has to have them readily available a lot of times. Not a neurologist, but like a surgeon readily available, anesthesia readily available, which is usually within 30 minutes, which is what we have. So, but they don't have to have them on site, where a level 2 does have to have them on site. So that's usually an urban area.
I gotcha. Would a level 4, which I'm thinking would probably be the smallest of hospitals, would they stabilize a patient to get them to a level 3?
Correct.
Okay.
That's more like your Fulton County or Calico Rock, those smaller hospitals, and they don't have to have the services there. What they do is they stabilize and transfer. And actually, the goal for the trauma con is that they would actually, as the EMS pick them up, unless the patient has to be stabilized for some reason, they don't even stop at the smaller hospital because it just wastes the time. So they actually transfer them straight to the nearest hospital that can treat them, unless they have to stop for like intubation or emergency, like blood or something like that. But otherwise, they take them to the nearest hospital that can treat them immediately, emergently.
Okay. All right. We've learned a lot today, ladies. Thank you so much. We're just delighted that we are a level 3 and that we have trauma center here in Baxter County that serves so many other counties. So 14 counties that we serve. We're delighted. So thank you for joining me today. I'm just so glad you could be here.
Thank you.
Glad you come back again, especially. We need to bring the trauma monkey.
Yes. We'll bring him along, and we're working on his name, and so we'll bring him along and introduce him soon.
Oh, good, good. The nameless trauma monkey will be here soon. Thank you all for joining us today for BRMC's Healthy Connections. We'll see you again next week. Thank you so much.